as an example, and I'll get to the details of this in a minute, she said that she and Paulo, in all the years she was with and without him, there was like a 3-year gap in there at one point, for example. It was roughly 20 years. Let's get to the Amanda Ungaro thing.
Yeah.
So, again, I referenced this at the beginning, but if you see jump cuts, that's because there's something that, you know, in reviewing this with Amanda, she wants to keep off record. But
hey guys, just as a quick note, I was able to get everything I'm about to say cleared by Amanda herself, and she also was nice enough to send over some of the screenshots pertaining to at least some of the things I'm talking about. So I'm going to go check that out on the edit right now, and whatever's relevant to things I said, when you hear a whoosh sound, that means it went on the screen and you can see some sort of document or email right there.
Like I said, I really needed 3-4 hours with her. I got an hour so I could get an outline, but right off the bat, what I'll say is there were things that she said that were the direct opposite of what she would be incentivized to say. As an example, and I'll get to the details of this in a minute, she said that she and Paulo, in all the years she was with and without him, there was like a 3-year gap in there at one point, for example. It was roughly 20 years. They never talked about Epstein, ever. And like, she's incentivized to be like, oh, he talked about him all the time. And, you know, I knew everything they were doing. We know that Paolo Zampolli, according to evidence, was looking to buy a modeling agency with Jeffrey Epstein as a partner. I forget which one. Maybe it was a lead. I don't remember. In like 2004. Like, he's in business with the guy and everything. And yet Amanda's saying, nope, didn't really talk about it. So I took like some bullet point notes of like things that can come on the record because, like I said, at the end of the conversation, I said, okay, here's what I think we could talk about. Let me know what you think of that. And she's like, yes, absolutely. Go through this, this, and this. And then there were a couple things that was like, all right, that would be best to not talk about that right now. But essentially, Amanda was modeling in Milan by age 13. Now, I didn't get to really dig deeper on this, but she doesn't make any claims that anything ever happened to her. I would describe her as a very tough woman, for sure. She's definitely, I would not want to get on her bad side. I do want to throw that out there, definitely. But, you know, she was modeling at a young age. She was from Brazil, ends up in Milan at 13. She's living in Paris at like 15, 16, right to when she's 17. Modeling, and I believe she was working for Jean-Luc Brunel at his modeling agency. Some of that was like a little unclear, but the way she ended up in the United States is at age 17 in, I believe, 2001. She got on the Lolita Express with Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jean-Luc Brunel, and 30 other girls. That's how she got to New York. And she claims nothing happened to her on that flight, but she said, you know, these girls were very comfortable, like as if they had been in that environment before, and that Epstein and Maxwell and Brunel, this was like very normal for them, and there'd be girls sitting on the lap of Epstein and stuff, and she thought some of it was a little weird. But what was odd was when she went to get off the plane in the U.S., Jean-Luc Brunel threw her and Jean-Luc Brunel, by the way, is the guy who definitely unalived himself. That's what the government told me, so I'm going to choose to believe them. President's Day weekend 2022 in his, I believe, Parisian jail cell.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure there was nothing more there. But anyway, he was Jeffrey Epstein's longtime buddy and a major modeling scout and executive in Europe who is also alleged to have been central to the trafficking operation on that side of the map as it pertains to Epstein and his orbit, if you will. But Jean-Luc Brunel threw Amanda Ungaro a plastic, like, circular baggie, she said, that contained a lot of drugs. She knew right away it was drugs. She threw it back and said, no, you take this shit. I like her accents.
Yeah,
It's like the way she explains things is very entertaining. But she threw it back to him and she left. And she never saw Ghislaine Maxwell or Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not sure about Brunel, but Epstein and Maxwell, she never saw them again. I don't know if she ever saw Epstein again, but she never saw Maxwell again until around 2014. I'll get to that point in the story when Amanda started doing some stuff with the UN, and she ran into Maxwell as it pertains to her fucking Prestige Worldwide, very fake organization called Terramar, trying to save the world's oceans or whatever the fuck they were doing. I'll get to that. But again, she would be incentivized, in my opinion, to say, oh, I was hanging out with them all the time. Paolo talked about them with me all the time. I saw them all the time. We all knew what they were doing. Mm-hmm. She's incentivized to do that because she definitely hates her ex, Paolo Zampolli. I understand that. And, you know, she's also sitting in Brazil right now, not in America, with her son as a result of, I'll get to that part of the story, Paolo getting her just pushed out of this country. And I think what amounts to forms of blackmail. Those are the claims. This is pure spec. These are alleged, Your Honor. This is just allegations from someone that I am reporting secondhand. Yep. I don't know. Paolo Zampolli might be a great guy, but it's possible. Alleged. We got to cover the bases here, Joe.
No, it's good biz.
It's how it is. So Amanda says that she met Paolo in Brazil when she was 15. Okay, so this would have been when she was signed to, I forget which modeling, maybe it was ID at that point, but one of the modeling companies. And right before she went to live in Paris for a year or two. That's interesting because Paolo Zampolli would have been, by my math, around 29 years old at that time. Meaning a 15-year-old. We all know how dirty the modeling business has apparently been in the past and probably still is in some ways. Hopefully not nearly as bad as it clearly used to be, where what I mean by that is they'd be recruiting girls when they're 12, 13 because they're like, oh, she's a looker. Yeah. She'll be the next one. And then God knows what happens to them when that happens. So I say that because he met her when she's 15 and she's a young model. She was already a model at that point, and it hypothetically could have been a part of his job that he was meeting her. Obviously, I think it went beyond that because he ended up with her. Again, I have to be careful how I say these things, but
pure spec.
Pure spec. We're all drawing certain conclusions out there, and I think you're very reasonable to draw those conclusions, by the way.
But you don't want to dip the pen in company ink.
That's right. That's exactly right.
That's it.
Are we sponsored by Red Bull now? Did I miss that?
We ought to be.
Gives you wings.
Yeah, come on, you guys.
It gives you wings. I got nothing against Red Bull. But anyway, we're not sponsored by Red Bull, to be clear.
Send the money.
So please, we really need it.
Come on.
We really do. I don't know where all these guys get the money.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, what was Barron was like, Kirk was making 25, 30 a year. What am I doing wrong?
And that's the Kirk effect, though, dude. Come on.
Well, that's before the,
Yeah. Big biz.
It's huge biz.
Big donors.
Huge biz. I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Listen,
I drive a Honda. I like my Honda.
Listen, we tighten up this reporting on the war, and by tighten up, I mean we just flip-flop.
Oh, ignore
it. And we're gonna have money flying through the door.
So we're gonna take that $50 million bag.
Exactly.
And Tate turned down.
And we hung out with Paulo, who's a very informative man. You don't really understand.
I asked her about that too. That's coming.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get there. But anyway, so he meets Paolo Zampolli, meets Amanda, as she alleges, at age 15. She then reconnects with him. I want to say the next time she reconnected him was, in fact, in New York. I can't remember if she mentioned if she ever saw him in Paris, but I'm pretty sure it was not until she was in New York after she had gotten off the Lolita Express and was here. And the way she explains it, the timeline is that he began full-blown dating her when she was in New York. And to give the benefit of the doubt of the timeline, I would imagine it lines up with her being 18, if that does anything for anyone out there. Obviously, the whole thing's weird. He's born in 1970, and this would have been in 2002, so he's 32, she's 18. I think that's weird. Yeah. Couldn't be me.
Yeah.
Couldn't be me.
Yeah.
Chief. But I guess that would be legal, right? So they start dating, and this is where she jumped around a bit, and I would bring it back and forth. So I'm going to stay with that too, because what she was saying kind of then gives context to things when we go back. So just bear with me on the timeline here. But again, she says that nothing ever happened to her from like as a model coming up, from like an abuse perspective in that way. She began dating Paolo. Eventually, he never married her, but eventually they had a child together, and she was living with him for until 2015-ish. And I'll get there in a second. But so that's a lot of years.
Yeah.
By the way. Thank you guys for watching the episode. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and smash that like button on the video. They're both a huge, huge help. And if you would like to follow me on Instagram and X, those links are in my description below.